Any other questions for Scotty, Trae?
No.
No roller skating questions? Oh my goodness.
Oh, look, I didn't know we were going to get on that topic because I love the roller skate.
You can hear all night, man. Roller skate was life. Skating is life.
Yes, I love it.
All right. You are listening or watching the Carver Ave Chronicles podcast with Tone and Trae. We got a special guest with us here, and he has his own podcast, Turning Up the Heat with the Heatmiser, Scotty Blaze. How's it doing? How's it going, brother?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Glad to be aboard.
Absolutely.
Glad to be around.
Brother, I'm glad to see you around, man. I mean, I just seen what happened. I think Sid Vicious left us.
Oh, no.
Man, guys are just dropping, bro. Guys are dropping, man.
What was he, 63? 63.
Yeah,
I mean, that's about 8 years older than I am.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so all y'all out there do the math. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. You can do the math.
Yeah, you get that. That's it. So I know you from the wrestling world, and you had a chop that people just they did not want to feel a Scotty Blaze chop.
No, man. People try to get out of that quicker. I'm sorry, can we? I forgot to ask. What's the language on this?
You're good, man. I'll bleep it.
Okay. People try to get out of that. People try to get out of that shiznit all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. They hated that. And when I'd pin them up against the corner, they knew it was coming, whether it was knife edge like Ric Flair or overhand like Wahoo.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be light on the chop.
No.
You can't be light on the chop.
You have to hear that pop.
Right, because a long time ago, an old school person said, if the crowd can't hear it, the crowd can't believe it. They heard my chops.
Oh, dude.
And unfortunately, my opponents felt the chops.
They were like gunshots, bro. They were like gunshots, man. We knew when you were out there live. You just hit, like, you're back in the locker room, you hear this big bang. It's like, oh, Scotty's at it again. Scotty's at it again. Now, I'm going to tell you something. So I'm not sure if you follow WWE and watch any of that stuff at all.
Yeah, I got it on in the background right now, watching Braun Strowman pick up a, looks like a support truss, and he just threw it at, I forget what the big guy is. I don't know. He just hit him over top of a car. So, yeah. But, yeah, it's on in the background.
Got it on. So, Gunther reminds me of you.
Love Gunther.
Yes, he reminds me of you with those chops, bro. People come back to they show the pictures on social media and all that, and those guys' chests are red. I'm like, okay, that's every time I see that, it reminds me of you. It reminds me of you.
Man, Gunther is amazing. I mean, he's a throwback. He is a pure throwback. And I was watching one of his matches where him and another guy, I wish I could remember who it was, they were lighting each other up, and it reminded me of a match, or any number of my matches with Scotty McKeever.
Okay.
If you remember Scotty McKeever.
I do briefly, yeah.
He's the reason why I chop. It's his fault. It's his fault, because I didn't used to chop. Honest, I did not used to chop at all. And it was McKeever, and it was Eclipso's fault, because he put me in there with McKeever, and it was in Brosville High Middle School, I think it was. And Rolling Thunder, you can ask Rolling Thunder about this. McKeever, oh my God, he put me in the corner. He hit me with the first chop he ever hit me with, and I was just stunned. I didn't sell it. I was just shocked. I was shocked. I didn't sell it. Wasn't on purpose. It wasn't a no sell. on purpose. It was just stunned. Then he hit me with that second one, and that's when all the energy. Whoops! I think he caught my hand movement. That's when just the bolt of energy just shot through me, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And he canned me, and he just chopped me around all four sides of the ring, and it was a packed house inside of Bronzeville Elementary. I think it was elementary. And that crowd just ate it up, and I'm just like, I'm feeding him to it, much to my own chagrin, but the crowd was popping. And in my own self-survival interest, they kept feeding me to him in matches. I just started chopping back, and that's when Eclipso kept putting me against him, and other promoters like Joe Brody or J.D. Rottenberry put us against each other, and McKeever would just like, "Oh no, your top's kind of hurt." I'm like, "Well, McKeever, yours don't feel that great either." And we would work each other. "Oh, let's go out there, like kind of like how Flair and Steamboat used to just chop the hell out of each other." Okay. One match, I think we had a street fight in West Virginia at the Bluefield Armory, and somebody counted, we threw like 60-some chops at each other a piece.
Wow.
Because the crowd was just popping on them. So that's
some red meat.
Yeah, hamburger, raw hamburger, both chests. I mean, oh my God, it was crazy.
That's wild, bro. So how long you been retired?
It'll be 10 years. I think it's this August.
Wow.
Was my last match. This is August. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Sometime this month, or was it next month? I wish I could remember my old head.
But roughly 10 years.
Oh, it's 10 years this month. It was 2014. Okay. That I do know.
Okay. So it's been 10 years. And how long did you wrestle for?
27 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
1987 to 2014.
Wow.
My first match,
87? You started young, bro.
Right.
I was 18 years old.
I was going to ask how old.
Easy. I'm not that old.
How'd you break in?
It was real funny because I'd always wanted to get him. A lot of people don't know this. I was second generation. Mm-hmm. My father was a wrestler long before he met my mother. He wrestled, it was very locally. But one day I'm flipping through the channels, local TV, and it was ACW out of the Lancelot.
Okay.
And I had no clue what this was. And I see what ended up being Rolling Thunder on there, and I'm yelling at my father, "Dad, turn on channel," whatever it was. And he goes, "That's your cousin Algie." Wow. He was wrestling under the hood of I wish I could remember what this hood is. I know Thunder could tell you. It was
okay, yeah.
Not the Invader, I wish I could remember. I can't remember his gimmick name now. He goes, "But that's your cousin, Algie Setchell." That was his name, Algie Setchell. I was like, "You're kidding me." Well, apparently, I don't know how old this episode was, but Algie had moved over away from Clip to another group called the IWF, which was ran by Bob and Paul, Handsome Hollywood, and Mr. Marvelous. I'm like, "Get a hold of me. Dad, I want to do this. I've been wanting to do this." This was the summer of 87. I had just graduated.
Okay.
He goes, "Well, let me see if I can get his number." So he called his brother, one of his brothers. Within an hour, I had the phone number of Algie. I called Algie, told him who I was and all that, because I'd never met him before. And he goes, all right, well, let me, I'll get here's the phone number to the promoters, and they were also the trainers. They had a ring set up in the bottom of the Salvation Army there off of Salem Avenue.
Okay.
And I mean, in the bottom of the Salvation Army. It was like almost like a dungeon. And one of the other workers there named the Bounty Hunter.
This is the old Salvation Army, right? 'Cause I think they moved, but
okay, it may be, this is 1987, so it's very possible.
Okay.
So
okay.
One of the other workers was the Bounty Hunter. His first name was Ernie. I have no idea what his last name was. Worked at that Salvation Army, so that's how they had it there. That's where they had the ring set up. That's where they stored it to between shows. So Bob and Paul were working for Zenith Mathis. It was a TV retail store there at Towers.
Okay.
Do you remember the name of it? It was across from Towers, right as you come off at Towers there at Wanju.
Yeah. I think now it's actually a Starbucks there now, but yes.
Yeah. It's right up where the Starbucks was.
It's in that area. Yep.
Yes, in that area. So I called them, tell them who I am. They're like, okay, come meet us. We know who your cousin is. So I meet them. They're like, and I'm 18 years old. I'm in good shape. I'm 280 pounds.
Whoa, what?
Solid 280 pounds at 18, right?
Mm.
So they're like, okay, yeah, you look good, but yeah, they know nothing about me. They don't know really anything about my family owning a skating rink, so they don't know, if I can move or not. So they're like, here, meet us at the Salvation Army and all that, such and such night, and we'll see what you got. So we do. They put me in the ring, and I'm excited, all ready to go. 18, but of course, I tell my dad, he's like, all right, be careful. They're going to try to beat the shit out of you and all that, because that's how he grew up. Because he knew Sandy Scott, and he worked with the really old, the Jumping Kangaroos. That's a real old throwback name. So I'm prepared, but I played roller hockey, football, baseball, basketball, all that. They beat the shit out. I mean, not injuring me, not trying to, we're going to break this kid's arm. They put me through my paces. They taught me how to bump. Of course, I'm wanting to put my arm back. But I'm like, oh, I know better than that, because in skating, the worst thing you can do is when you start falling backwards is to put your hand back. Mm-hmm. That's how people break their wrist and their arms. They get that S break. It looks like, I was like, I know better than that. Stop that, Scott. So that was real easy for me to break. But they did. They beat me. I was black and blue.
Wow.
And so I go home. They give me their, Bob and Paul lived together at the time at Sanssouci Apartments over off of Cave Spring at the time. And so I wait till the next day till they're about home, and I call them and said, hey, when can we go again? And they're like, we got him. And I guess they didn't expect me to call back the next day or anytime soon. I'm like, when can we go back? When can we go again? When can we go again?
You got the itch. You got the itch.
I got the itch.
Wow,
and
man.
So we just started training whenever, we could. And of course, I was the young boy. I drove them around everywhere. I drove them to Shawsville for shows, putting up posters. I drove all the way to Seneca, South Carolina for a possibility of being on a show.
Wow.
Didn't get on the show, but I got to train in front of Bobby Angel and all them. And they're like, oh, he's got potential. And I keep working with and all that. And drove all the way back from Seneca, South Carolina. And I paid my dues. They brought me up the right way. I credit Bob and Paul, and there was a third one, Calvin Hodges, who wrestled under the mask as the enforcer, who sadly is no longer with us. The three of them laid the foundation of what Scotty Blaze would become. They taught me the right way, the respect, honor those that came before you, don't believe in your own hype, and don't live your gimmick.
Okay. What's the biggest match you've had?
Oh, probably as far as name wise, when me and Scotty Rocker, probably when me and Scotty Rocker, we held the NWA North American Tag Team titles, and we got to work at the time the Dudley brothers, who were the NWA World Tag Team title holders. And it was the first time in modern history that both the NWA World and the NWA North American had been in the same ring at the same time. And that was for Hermie Sadler up in Chesterfield.
Wow.
Yeah, it was at a Harley. Yeah, he put on the show. He had a ton of names, and we worked them. Got paid really good because it was Hermie Sadler. But it was them. I forget who else is on it now. A bunch of the. It was when TNA was still under the NWA banner.
Right.
Back, so that does give quite a while back.
And you're talking about Bubba Ray and Devon.
Yeah, Dudley. Bubba Ray and Devon.
That's huge.
They were Team 3D at the time. That's what they were known as.
Right, and TNA, yeah.
And Rocker's like, I want to take the finish. I'm like, that's fine, you can take it. Because to me, because that was his generation. Now, if we were working the Midnight Express, I'm like, I'm taking the finish. Or if it was the Rock and Roll Express or somebody like that, I would be more interested in taking the finish. He's like, I want to take the finish. Yeah, that's fine, cool. Because obviously we were going to put them over because they were the number one tag team in the NWA. We were the number 2 tag team, belt-wise, in the NWA. And I was like, that's fine.
That's big. That's big, man.
Yeah, it was.
Wow. Now, how long did you guys hold the titles?
9 months, 10 months, 11 months, something like that. We dropped it at it was, I forget which year, 09 at the NWA Legends Fan Fest. We dropped it to Preston Quinn and I think it was Damian Wayne, or it was one of, there was 3 members of the old school Empire. I know it was Preston Quinn. And it was Preston Quinn and Damian Wayne. We dropped it to him that night. We were supposed to get it back within 2 weeks, but then hurricanes came by because we were supposed to go out to the east side of Virginia under the NWA Virginia banner and get it back, but we never did, which I was fine with. I'm glad we never got them back. Me and Rocker both were, because we were traveling a lot with those belts, which wasn't the problem. It was telling different promoters that we couldn't lose. Because when you had that, you're under the NWA under the rules. So if we lost, we had to lose by DQ or some type of swerve. We couldn't get pinned when you held the NWA board-controlled belts. That goes against my training. Going, we can win, we can work your guys, but we're not allowed to lose.
Wow.
No, that's not me. You've known me long enough. I don't care. I don't give a rat's ass.
You just want to put on a good show.
Yes, as long as the fans enjoy it, I'll lose to whatever, however. But these were the rules when you held the belts, and they really liked me and Rocker together. They loved our size. Now, this was back when I was carrying around, I was around 360 some pounds. I was a big boy. And, Rocker was in shape. So and he's a tall big boy.
He's tall,
and,
right? Yeah.
But they loved the way we worked together, and we were cousins at the time. Because we were working for Rick O'Brien's NWA Virginia, and Kim, my then wife, had turned on me. And so I had to pull in blood family to be by my side.
Wow.
And we just clicked as a team, and eyeballs got on us, and Rick O'Brien sent in some footage of us, and the NWA board liked us, so they decided to put the number 2 strap on us, and we went, of course, all over Virginia, Tennessee, West Virginia, North Carolina. We took a couple good shots up all the way up to Jersey for NWA New Jersey up there. They had us work a bunch of their guys up there, big boys up that way too, man. I loved going up. Hated to drive, loved the shows.
Right. Let me ask you this about that, because I mean, obviously NWA is a very old school, prestigious, group there. I mean, they're still around. I mean, they have like a little YouTube show, I think Power or whatever it's called.
Yeah, this was long before their old Power. I wish it was Powers back then, because we'd been down there if it was back in the early 2000s.
But I guess my question is with that NWA name, were you getting, because obviously when you're working the indie circuit, sometimes you're getting paid, sometimes you're just doing it for the love. Were you getting any decent money because of NWA?
No, not really. I mean, on the travels, yeah, and we as the North American title holders, we could get a minimum, but we worked with most people. I mean, we got more as the strap holders, but not especially going to Jersey. Now, the first time up to Jersey, we rode in a passenger van full of NWA Virginia talent. So I will tell you, our money was better that time when we went up there with it was probably about a good 8 to 10 of us in a passenger van up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole podcast in its own right with that group of guys. Let me tell you.
Oh, dude. I mean, the thing about it is, man, it's always the road trips are more, sometimes fun than the shows.
Oh, yeah, this is true. And that was no doubt one. And then the second time we went up there, I went up there and it was me, Kim as erotica, Rocker, and Bad News Johnson. We drove up there straight from Roanoke, and we went a different route. We didn't have to go from Roanoke to Chesterfield. We stayed the night in Chesterfield, then woke up with Rick O'Brien in the passenger van to D.C., through D.C. to pick up the rep, through Baltimore to pick up someone else, then up to Clifton, New Jersey. This time we just went straight from Roanoke to Clifton, New Jersey. Left, got Bad News' GPS, took us through downtown Clifton, New Jersey, and we saw Not So Fast, Not So Furious trying to drag race. And that's what Bad News called them. Thought for sure we was going to get shot, and got out of there quick. And yeah, thank God he didn't scream that out the window like he's done, try to get me in trouble other times in West Virginia when he saw a rebel flag. Bad News, for those that don't know, is not the same skin color as me, and he sees a rebel flag going, white power, and I'm like, I'm going to get shot. And I just gun a minivan as fast as a minivan will gun. And because there's people sitting on their front porches with shotguns in their lap.
Wow.
And Bad News is screaming white power at rebel flags.
Wow.
Man,
you idiot. You are trying to get us killed.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think he understands the assignment.
Well,
but,
I mean, Bad News. That's him.
I do. Yeah.
That's him being Bad News, being a giggle. And we would play games up at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he put WHT PWR as his game name. and
Oh
stood
my
underneath it. I'm like,
no
oh,
shame. No
no
shame.
shame.
No
Mhm.
shame.
But I mean, we got paid good then, but I did it for the love of it. I mean, I grew up on NWA. I
Yeah.
was a kid. I watched the WRAL shows, the Raleigh shows, studio shows with Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. I watched when it was on, come home after skating, after we closed, skating rink would close at night on Saturday nights. Watched Worldwide Wrestling on the ABC channels. And of course, this was before cable. And so, I grew up on the NWA name. So, to have the NWA name, to have an NWA to be put in the history books to hold that title, the same title that, Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch held.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I listed down, they had us cut a promo. And when Rocker threw it to me, I was like, we're bringing prestigious back to this title. We're going to make it mean like, and I rattled off, when it was the Briscoes. I forget who else. God, I wish I'd known thought about this. I would have tried to remember who all used to hold it. But I knew Rhodes and Murdoch, and there was so many old school names used to hold that same title lineage back through the years.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you've been out of the game for 10 years. Obviously, you do have some guys you probably communicate with, or at least see still active. How did you manage the retirement? How are you still managing the retirement?
Oh,
That's what I'm now.
today it's no problem. When I was forced to retire in 2014 because of issues with my back, my lower spine. So keep in mind, I had to retire both from wrestling, which was 27 years, and I had to stop skating,
Wow.
roller skating. I had roller skating since I was 2 years old. In 2014, at that time, I was 45 years old.
Wow.
Those were two things that were me, that I identified with. That's who Scott Setchell was. I was a pro wrestler and I was a roller skater. And for those that don't know, my family owned a roller skating rink from 1971 to 2009. Now, of course, I kept roller skating after they sold the skating rink in 2009. But 95% of that time of my life, I skated every single day of my life. I didn't know anything other than roller skating and pro wrestling. At first, I was lost. I do suffer from depression, but then that sent my depression into overdrive. I didn't know who I was. I sat around lost. I didn't know what to do. How I just sat in a chair, like, just looking around, like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. Because I didn't really go out on my own terms. Although I was able to have my last match, because I told the doctor I'm having a final match when she told me I need to quit. And it was my PCP that showed me the x-ray of my spine. And she had been my doctor for over 20 years and knew what I had done. And it was the first time she ever said, you need to stop. This is it. Your back can't take no more.
Wow.
And that's when I went, okay, I'll stop. She's guided me through everything else, nursed me back to health. But when she told me it was time to stop, I listened. Because the disc between my L4, L5, L5S1 were just about gone, and I had arthritis, still do arthritis over that same area, and my back was just killing me. So I set up my last match up in West Virginia, but after that, how to manage it, it took a couple of years to figure out who was I without those two things, and it actually probably took a couple more years after that, and I just started at the time living for my son, watching him grow up, continue to grow into the man that he would become. Because let's see, 2014, 15, 16, because he graduated in 2018. So I was just, living, watching him grow up, get a driver's license, graduate high school, moving on to the next stage of his life. And eventually I just became okay with it,
Yeah.
But it was hard. I won't lie. It wasn't easy. But now I'm okay with it. I thought I was going to have to cut everything off, cut out watching it, cut out my wrestling friends. Some wrestlers I know have done that, but thankfully I didn't have to.
Yeah. Did you at any point seek any kind of counseling, or you just kind of just dealt with it on your own?
I just did it on my own. Some friends of mine thought suggested maybe I should, especially with dealing with depression. But no, I just managed it on my own. I just tried to find other things to try to distract me.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God I'm a comic book geek. I love reading comic books. I'm a sci-fi guy, Marvel comics or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I love the movies. Things were kicking up with them, and plus comic books, and reading Star Wars books. Of course, this was before Disney Plus and all that. But just I just dealt with it on my own.
Let me ask you this, because this is one thing, and I mean, obviously, I was in the game for roughly 15 years ish, and I didn't do as much as you or a lot of the guys, but I did travel a lot. North Carolina, West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia, and all that, in other states. But for me, once I got into video production, that took the itch away from me, right?
Right.
And I sit back and I look at guys even now, and I'm like, I know you got a bad back. I know you got a bad heart. I know you have a bad neck. Why do guys continue going on? Like, you actually listen to your doctor and say, okay, enough's enough. Why do some guys continue on even though they're one heart attack away, or they're one bad bump away from being like paralyzed or done? Why do you think that is?
I think they still crave that adrenaline, that pop walking through the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
They crave that rush. There's no drug like it, as you know.
Right.
When you hear that pop, when you go through that curtain, there's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no drug that can give you that same high. I don't know. I'm taking everybody else's word for it. I mean, but I've heard it described the same way from other people. And other people are still chasing that. Well, what if someone sees me? Not realizing that that's never going to happen anymore, or that they're past their peak, or I mean, that's a really great question, but some people just don't know who they are without it. And so they continue on and on and on.
Right.
Because they just don't know what they are without it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nowadays, if you're not willing to go to a if you're not willing to relocate to Florida, basically, both WWE and AEW have people down there with camps. And of course, Booker T has his camp out in Houston. Certain guys have. So if you're not willing to go to those places, you're wasting your time. I mean, I'm not going to say you're wasting your time, but you kind of are nowadays.
I agree. Although I'm shocked at the amount of people that have come through. I don't know how active they are anymore, but the amount of names that are now names that went through CWF in Burlington, North Carolina. I mean, FTR, Adam Page. He's not a name anymore, but that oh my God, I forgot his name. No Way Jose. He was a name at one time.
He wrestled in North Carolina?
Yes, out of Burlington.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. I did shows with not Dax of FTR. And
Yes.
back when he was KC McKnight and had hair.
Really?
Yes. I did shows with a very young, very baby face, curly blonde hair, Adam Page.
Okay.
It fell over. He used to ask me to watch his matches, and he would never come and ask, "What did I do right?" He'd always ask, "What did I do wrong?" I went, "This kid's got talent." I'm watching him in the ring. I knew he had talent. No clue he would be. This was long before he ever went to Japan. I mean, years before. And it was only like a handful of shows. Knew he had talent. Did not know he was going to blow up as big as he has. My God.
How does that make you feel to know that you kind of, quote unquote, kind of help mentor a little bit?
Very small piece, especially with Adam Page. Now, Casey McKnight, I was just on shows with. But something like Adam Page, just knowing that was like that little bit of a cog in the giant machine that ended up being Adam Page. I mean, it makes me feel great because that's the only reason I started watching AEW. I thought, oh, wait, Adam, I know this guy. Mm-hmm. I did shows with this guy. I want to watch and see what this is about. It got me watching AEW. It's the only reason that got me eyes on the product of AEW. I went, okay, so it got me watching. Oh, I've heard of Ray Phoenix, never watched him before. Oh, I've heard of, this guy and that guy. And I went, okay, so now I'm watching the product. I was mainly watching, now FTR's over there. I've already watched them in NXT. I sent messages to Dax going, hey, you may not remember me, but we did shows together with you. Oh, I remember you, and I remember your chops. I remember hearing your chops. I went, okay, well, yeah, you definitely, you're not just blowing smoke up my ass. I mean, you remember, right. I mean, you remember my name, you remember the chops, so you could, that's definitely, but I mean, now FTR's over there. Now it's more of a reason to watch. I mean, they did great in NXT. Then they got Shiznit on when they got called up to the main roster. And now they're over in AEW. Now it's more. I mean, it feels good when I see somebody that I had like very small, minuscule, given guidance to, and now they're making it big. I mean, more people had more influence on him than I did, but it just feels good just to say, hey, I knew that guy when he was fresh meat baby face, green as goose crap, and he asked me for advice. I gave it to him, and
yeah, and obviously he took it. He took that advice and he built on it.
Oh, he took that advice and he took everybody. He's apparently taken some really good advice over the years. I mean, he blew up in Japan, and then, I mean, my God, that guy is just so much talent. And when they put the world strap on him, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He's so good. God, he's so good.
Yeah.
I just never knew he had that much talent. I knew he had talent, but my God. Of course, he never displayed. Of course, obviously he developed over the years, but to see what he developed into, I'm like, I remember him when.
Yeah. Hey, Trae, you got any questions for Scotty?
I just want to know, what is he doing now? Like, since he's been out of the game, what are you doing now?
Well, I do nothing, and I do it just about all day long. Unfortunately,
I'm jealous.
Right.
I will trade you. I will trade you everything I have, and I will trade lives with you.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I have a neurological condition called complex regional pain syndrome. Mm-hmm. I got that because of a botched nerve let's try that again in English. I got that from a botched nerve decompression surgery in my right dominant arm. Okay. It's just one of those things they say could happen. Have you ever heard of that Netflix documentary called Take Care of Maya?
Mm-mm.
Just look it up. She has full body CRPS, or complex regional pain syndrome.
Okay.
CRPS is the most complex, or excuse me, is the most painful chronic pain known to man.
Oh.
There is no cure. And where it ranks on the McGill pain scale, it ranks higher than a first childbirth without medication.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And it ranks higher than amputation without anesthesia.
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
Yeah. So I deal with that. And it's in my right dominant arm and hand, and it has spread into my heart. And it can spread full body. Thankfully, I have a high tolerance for pain.
Mm-hmm.
They've tried everything as far as helping try to reduce the pain, from nerve blocks to ketamine infusions. And ketamine infusions, which were supposed to last a month long, were only lasting a day and a half. In that day and a half, it did bring my pain down from like a 9 to a 4, but that was it, and only a day and a half. My right hand, as you can see, that's about all the movement I have in my right hand.
Mm-hmm.
I have no real pinch strength. So, like, if I open up like a bag of chips, I have to get scissors. I can't pinch and like pull apart.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of wrestlers will say it's karma from chopping with my right hand. And they have said that too, jokingly. Wrestlers, we don't care what it is, they will zing each other with it, and they mean it with love, of course.
Of course.
But unfortunately, I used to type for a living. I was a user acceptance tester, a user interface specialist with both Home Shopping Network and Wells Fargo. And obviously, I can't really type anymore. And so now I'm on disability, and I just deal with the pain too. I can have flare-ups that can put me down for an hour or put me down for days with the pain. And anything can set it off. They don't know what actually triggers it, other than just, sound waves can trigger it. But it really, anything, it's kind of like fibromyalgia that way, but fibromyalgia on crack. So I just deal with that. And so when I say I sit around and do nothing all day, that's why.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Understandable.
but I do my own podcast. It's called Turning Up the Heat Podcast.
Yeah.
So
and in doing that, like, so what's your process? Like, do you have to wait till you have enough strength to do it, or is it just like something that you really don't have to do? Doesn't require much energy to do?
No, I mean, music is my escape. Lots of times when I'm feeling bad or down or anything, it's amazing how music, because I have such a strong connection with music because of the skating rink. I could be feeling bad physically, bad emotionally, and sometimes I can just pop on some music, and my music is R&B from 70s, 80s, 90s. 90s was my favorite decade to DJ because of the New Jack Swing era, all those hits, but just really any good R&B that I could have shuffle skated to or something like that I did shuffle skate to. It's amazing how, whether if I'm down, how it can bring me up, or if I'm feeling pain, that just as long as the music's playing, I feel no pain whatsoever. It just escapes my body. And I'm just, if I sometimes, I'll take a late night drive, but the windows down, the sunroof goes back, the music goes up, and I'm just driving with no destination in mind. Gas prices suck for this, but I'll still do it. And I just drive wherever it goes. I'm cranking it. And I just feel I'm just lost with the music. I'm cranking anywhere from Sugar Hill Gang to Jeanne to Redheaded Kingpin and the FBI to Dougie Fresh to wherever. Anything
Anything old
that
school.
I played at the skating rink to even some of the new stuff like, oh my God. Well, I think it's a few months old now, but that new song or newer song by Charlie Wilson with Babyface, KC from KC and JoJo,
Okay.
and there's one more. I forget. I know it. But have you heard it? Ain't No Stopping Us?
I
Charlie
probably,
Wilson? Oh,
I
my,
probably have.
oh my
probably
God. Oh my God. I mean, Charlie Wilson, you know Charlie Wilson, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God, that song Ain't No Stopping Us. It's Babyface, Johnny Gill, Babyface, and Casey from Casey and JoJo.
Gotcha.
Oh my God, man, I'm just double on. I gotta make sure I'm watching the road. Yeah.
I love it. But you know what? I like about this? I like this because what you just told me is that's your version of self-care. That's self-care.
Right.
That's self-care. Because music, a lot of people do use music as a way to calm themselves down.
Yeah.
Or to kind of, that's their escape. I mean, that's their way. So I love that you you use that as a way to get yourself away from the pain
Yeah.
you're dealing with. I love it. I love it.
Oh man, I mean, oh my God, if it wasn't for Spotify, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, my God, I mean, because I don't have a record player, and no more vinyl, and I don't have a CD player, no more CDs. I mean, that's why Gen X is so mad, because we had to give up vinyl for CDs. We had to give up CDs for to download, and we had to give up our download just so now that we could pay a subscription price to get them all over again. That's why Gen X is so mad. We should have, and now vinyl's coming back. We should have just kept our vinyl. Right. You know what? Everybody wants to know why Gen X is so mad, because we had to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, cause I mean, you're a little bit older than me, but I'm
a little bit,
too, just a little bit. I remember the 8-track. I remember the man, what is it? The beta tape before it was VHS.
Oh yeah, the Betamax.
Yeah. So I remember those things, man. And like to now, it's just like you click a button somewhere and it's just playing.
I know.
Over the internet, it's great.
And see, when I DJ'd, I started DJing at the skate rink when I was 12.
Wow. And
I don't know if you saw this in the paper or on Facebook, and a lot of people may not know him, but what I considered a legend in promoting local talents in the area, Moon Carter, passed away a couple weeks ago. My mom actually sent it to me. He would bring him and a guy named Robert Arrington brought acts to the skating rink back in the day. He was one of them that just was one of the people I looked up to, along with another DJ that was local, Disco Brown. These names might not mean nothing to the people, to y'all, or to the people that may listen. But these are guys that when I was little, I looked up to, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. Because I saw the effect that they had on the skaters. I'm like, well, they had the same effect on me, because here I am little out there. It was disco skating back then. That's what they called it, but it was shuffle skating. I mean, we got out there, we jammed, they're playing music, I'm rocking and rolling. I want to do that. I want to control people, not knowing that's the same thing wrestlers did.
Right.
I want to get up there and play music. I want people to feel good. I want to watch them dance. So I started DJing at age 12. Now, back then, God, nobody could get a microphone near me and get me to talk on the stick. It took several years. I was afraid of that stick. Nope. Now you can't get it away from me. And for several years it was like that. But man, so I'll make these announcements. I'd hide. But man, give me the vinyl. And I started DJing when I was 12, and I just loved it. And they brought acts in Confunction, Wild Cherry, Reds and the Boys, Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers with some DC Go-Go. I mean, I grew up with music around me, and that was my strong connection. That's why I can use music as my escape to make me feel better from whatever it is. And that's my go-to.
Yeah. And let me I gotta make sure I'm clear on this. Did your parents own Star City skating rink? Which one did they own?
What?
Star City. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That was on Hertzberger. It used to be on Hertzberger, right?
Wow.
Born at Hertzberger and Plantation.
That's what I thought. Okay. I wanted to be sure. Man.
We also used to run the one in Salem. Because they were all together at one time, and then it split, and we took full ownership of Star City, which back when it first opened up, it was Skate Around. Then it was Interstate 2. Why we weren't Interstate 1, I don't know, because we were the oldest. But then it was Interstate 2, and then, of course, the name it was most notably known for, Star City.
Okay. And you said they had this from
71.
71, that's what I
when
thought.
it opened to 2009.
Wow.
That's a long time.
It's a very long time. Now, is there a reason why that you guys had to sell?
Yeah.
Well, my dad decided his health started getting bad. I mean, I wasn't in a position where I could buy it from him or take it from him. And I was working at Home Shopping Network at the time. Plus, it was better for me at HSN because I had just started a family 10 years earlier. And I had benefits there. My dad didn't want me to take it over or leave HSN. And he just, Honeytree bought it, swore they would do right by him. They did right by him, but swore they would do right by the rink and the kids and all that. Clearly, they had no clue of what they were doing. They were like, well, we know how to run a skating rink because we know how to run a daycare.
What? Right.
Two different business.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was a chance for my dad with his health getting worse or getting bad. It was a chance for my dad to really retire and not have to worry about anything.
Okay.
And I don't blame him for it at all. I just wish there was someone else that could have bought it that actually knew how to run a roller skating rink.
Yeah.
Because we see it's been sitting closed to the business for the last 5-6 years, closed to the public. And they had problems. They had a riot one year where police officers got hurt.
Oh, wow.
Me and my brother, when my brother was still alive, we offered to give them free advice, come out there, help them, all that. And they're like, no, don't need it.
Wow.
What?
Right. Yeah. And I didn't even know Honeytree bought it. I didn't know Honeytree bought that. Wow. That's wild. That's wild.
And we see where it's for sale again. When I say again, they're attempting to try to sell it again at $1.3 million. It's the same price that I believe they tried to sell it the first time. But I know other people. There was somebody that's in Pennsylvania that grew up at our skating rink here, grew up in our summer day camp that we used to have here, skated, speed under my brother. He does very well financially. He was going to come down with an investor and was seriously considering buying it. But his mother had passed several years ago. But he said when he talked to his wife and children, and that's because it's a big move back to Roanoke,
Mhm.
Of course, he had to move to Pennsylvania when when he was young, his mother got transferred by the bank she was working for at the time. And I guess they had an honest discussion, and he contacted me and was very apologetic, saying that he wasn't going to do it. And he explained why. And I'm like, dude, don't apologize to me. I understand. He said that he really doesn't have any Roanoke ties anymore because one, his mother's gone now, and two, all his family's up in Pennsylvania now with his little girls and his wife and everything. I'm like, you don't have to explain that to me. That makes sense. I said, I would have been more upset if you had relocated your family down here, bought it, and then regretted it.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
Right.
you made the right choice. Don't apologize to me. I'd rather it sit empty for sale and you be happy up there doing what you're doing now. And this is a guy that was multiple-time national champion, multiple-time world champion. He got bored with speed skating and went and played roller derby. He was on the Team USA for roller derby, sponsored by the brand roller derby, made how to skate videos on YouTube or learn to skate videos on YouTube. Great guy, Stephen Carter. And I mean, he's serious. He was going to make a serious offer, and then I guess when he had a real heart-to-heart talk and really got, I think the excitement of owning the skate rink that he still calls home got the better of him, and when he settled down and thought, you know what, I really don't have any ties back to Roanoke anymore, and it would be a big change in his little girls' lives.
Yeah.
Why uproot them for that? Hey,
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Do not do that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You know,
It's
but it
something
hurts my
you
heart
think.
when I drive by it every day.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. I just, man, it just one of those things. And you're in the area still, so you see it.
Well, I'm in Rocky Mount now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I moved. As of August 3rd, I moved up here.
Oh, did you?
North
Okay.
Carolina?
Rocky Mount.
Virginia, though, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Virginia?
Rocky Mount, Virginia. I forgot there was one in North Carolina.
Yeah. So we're gonna get a little touchy here. There is
Go
something
for
you
it.
kind of bring some awareness about. I'm not going to talk about your son directly, but I know there are certain things that you have done to heal from the loss. Talk about that experience of, coming back from that huge loss and trying to cope with it daily, and what people should be aware of.
We can talk about it, man. Well, let's talk about it. Let's get it out there. Let's make it awareness, man.
All right, well, go for it, brother. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I lost my son who died by suicide. We lost him on December 30th, 2022. He was 23 years old.
Wow.
And I talk about it. I'm open about it. And I get his story out there where I can. I posted it on Facebook after I talked with his mom. I talked with my mother, who's my last remaining family, because we lost my brother in 2018 and we lost my father in 2013. Wow. So after I talked, my son was the only grandson of the family. And I talked to her and I said, I want to talk about it, because if I can change some other kid's trajectory or anybody's trajectory that is thinking about it, then it's worth talking about. That's the way I feel. I took 17 months off. I was scheduled I got the call early. Actually, I got the call late that night on December 29th, just before midnight, and I rushed to the hospital. I was scheduled to do an episode, record a podcast on December 30th. I was going to do, I forget, some special for New Year's Eve and stuff like that. So I was scheduled to record a podcast on December 30th. Well, they called his time of death just after midnight on December 30th. I took 17 months off, except what would have been his 24th birthday. So on November 6th, 2020, 2023, I did a special podcast and I talked about it. And like I said, I made a Facebook post after talking to his mom, and my mom told him what I want to do and why I want to do it, and they agreed. And I put it out there for the world to see and why I did it. And I thought I was going to get a lot of flack about it. I'd have to go back and look, but I got so many replies of support and praise about bringing it to the forefront and about, yes, we need to talk about bringing it out there, because suicide rates are through the roof, especially for young adults.
Mm-hmm.
I should have brought the stats. I had the stats. I made a video on my YouTube page talking about Virginia suicides, about how they're the leading cause for, and I broke it down by each age group going all the way up to 65 and over. And I set it to the music to One More Light by Linkin Park, which is, that song. I mean, if you search Heatmiser Blaze on YouTube, you'll find my YouTube channel, and you'll find that amongst a ton of other videos, but you'll find that one, and I break it down. The cover, the thumbnail is a cover of Newsweek, and it says, "Why are we killing ourselves?"
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it was rough. I mean, he was my son. He was 23. He just turned 23 that November.
Wow.
And it rocked my world.
Did he show any signs of?
Yeah.
No, none whatsoever. None.
Nothing.
But that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
He was happy. He was living with his girlfriend. They were talking long-term plans. Her parents were like, "When are you giving us babies?" They loved him. They adored him. They almost every weekend were going out to dinner together with her parents. They were taking them together out on, I don't know if it was a boat rental or they have a pontoon type boat. They were constantly on the lake together. I'd never seen my son smile more than when he was with her. They would come by the apartment, constantly seeing what they could do to help me, or they would do grocery runs for me because I'm not as mobile as I used to be. So they would do grocery runs for me, constantly checking on me. And the thing is, that was a Thursday. Yeah, that was a Thursday. That Wednesday, Austin had picked me up to take me to an echo appointment, a doctor's appointment for an echo out at Riverside 3, because, the parking there is just the
I already know. I know.
Oh, my God. So somebody that has trouble walking,
Right.
that is not real friendly.
No.
So we would take my car. I would pull up in the circle, get out. He'd take my car, go park it. He'd sit in the car, wait for me to call him, and he'd come driving up.
That's the same thing I do with my mother. The same thing I do with my mother.
Okay,
I already know. Yep. I already know.
So we come back to my apartment. He'd hang out. We talk music. I used to think he was my son because we loved the same music, but then he got into punk music. I'm like, okay, we're taking a DNA test because I'm not sure anymore. But nah, we talked music, Star Wars. I mean, that was our big bond, was Star Wars stuff, about the upcoming stuff and all that. And if there's one takeaway, is that every time we'd end our conversation, whether it be on the phone or in person, we always told each other we loved each other. So our last words were, "I love you, son. I love you, Dad." And we hugged, of course. And that was the last I saw him, the last I talked to him.
Wow.
And so dealing with that was hard. And I knew what his final wishes were because of a roundabout conversation. Was because I was talking to him because I was, and Tony, you kept up with some of my medical issues. It hasn't been easy for me. I've had a lot of medical issues. And I had a conversation, a frank conversation with him one time that, something would happen to me or when it is my time that, I wanted to be cremated and I want my ashes taken to Daytona and spread out in the ocean. Because Daytona has been such a special place for my entire family since I was just a baby. And of course, we always took my son down there when my parents were down there for several years and had a condo down there. I had him out in the ocean at 8 months of age and was down there every summer from that point forward until, God, I don't know, he was like 9 or 10. And teaching him the ways of the ocean and all that, riptides, undercurrents, all that, teaching him all that, just like my father taught me. And he goes, oh, yeah, Dad, you know what, Dad? I would like that for me too one day.
Wow.
Never thinking, telling him so what he could do for me, never thinking I'd end up doing that for him. So this past September, at the end of September, I took Kim, his mom, which we had not been together since 2009, but I felt that she should be a part of it.
Yeah.
And his girlfriend that found him. We all traveled down to Daytona for 2 weeks. And we tried to go out on a Tuesday. Ocean would not, cooperate. It was just the storms and all. Because, of course, Daytona's famous for always having thunderstorms and all.
Right.
But not cooperate because we had to go when it was after the lifeguard stand closed on it because you're not really supposed to go out there and do it beachside. It's illegal.
Oh, okay.
Because you're supposed to rent a boat and go several miles offshore.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Cost way too much money.
Of course,
So
yeah.
We
Of course.
kind of did it illegally. Don't know why. So that Tuesday, no. That Wednesday, no, wasn't cooperating again. That Thursday, the weather looked like it was going to cooperate, forecast and all. And so I'm just scrolling on Facebook going, okay, this will be the day. I'm scrolling, I'm seeing Happy National Sons Day. It's the 28th, September 28th, right?
Wow.
Like, whoa, wait a minute. What? What's today? National Sons Day? Just happened to be perfect. And it was still, because the storm was coming off the coast, far offshore, but that ocean was still pretty tough. I mean, I grew up in that ocean, right? I was a strong swimmer. That ocean still beat my ass. But we got it done. I went out there, spread. We had to take my brother's ashes down there too, because the deal was between me and my mom, whoever got to Daytona first. My brother also wanted his ashes spread down there. So I went out first. Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Daytona was so special to us all.
Right.
So I went out and took my brother's ashes out there, and that ocean with I only went out waist deep, and it knocked me on my ass several times.
Wow.
So I'm struggling to get up, and there's film of it too. I haven't posted those portions of it. I'm thinking about putting it to the Benny Hill soundtrack, where making it comedy, where it just be falling down over and over. But I went out there, did my brother's ashes.
Yeah.
Barely made it back. I mean, my God, I was white. I was blown up like a 60-minute Iron Man match, blown up.
Wow.
Got out. Kim went, who can't swim, like there's a wood stake in the sand and it's high tide. So her and his girlfriend, Alyssa, are both holding on to the post, and it might be coming up to their knees maybe, but you can see the white caps are far coming in, and they do their deal with the ashes. I'm laid up against the seawall of one of the hotels, and I'm just blowing up, and I got my baggie, and it's high tide. It's coming in, hitting the seawall and splashing back over my head. That's how high tide it was. And I'm just sitting there cross-legged going, Austin, I know you're okay with this. You saw it kick my ass, and you probably had a hand in it. And I spread my ashes, and we did the deal there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went down there, and I thought from the time we made the arrangements of this is what we're going to do, I'm like, okay, I can be strong until Daytona, and Daytona will give me some closure.
Mhm.
That was my thinking. Daytona happened. I'd get back to Roanoke. It didn't work. Closure didn't happen. I was worse. I was worse off mentally. And that's when I knew I needed some help. So I reached out and to my PCP who set up a referral. And I called the people. But here's our problem with our mental health system, and especially in Roanoke, especially with Carillion. There was a 6-month wait
What?
to see somebody.
Oh my goodness.
I literally just finished up. It was a 10-week class. It was called a Suicide Survivors Group Counseling. And it was 2 Tuesdays ago. It was 10-week class. 2 Tuesdays ago was week 10.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
6-month wait.
Man, that's crazy.
Really?
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. It's just one of those things. Like, and obviously, we're trying to bring awareness. So, what is something that you would have wished you would have done with your son, or a discussion you may have had?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, like, some of you guys were tight. You were keeping up with him, asking him, "Is he okay?" I would assume. So, like,
Yeah.
is there anything different you would maybe like have?
I wish I don't know what I don't know. I mean, because he was constantly over at my apartment. We constantly talked on the phone all the time. And like I said, we talked Star Wars. Like when the episode The Mandalorian would happen, and he finally saw it. He called me, "Oh my God, Dad!" I mean, so he never displayed anything. And me suffering from depression, I'm aware of the signs, and he displayed none of it.
Wow.
So he hid it well. He hid it from his girlfriend.
Mm.
I honestly, I think it was an impulse thing, and they didn't have a fight or anything like that.
Okay.
Nothing like that. So I know a lot of people, 23-year-old, they must have had they lived together with his girlfriend. Must have like he was in between jobs. She has, or even at the time, had a real good job, and still does. Was making real good money. He had just left his job at Coke because he didn't like the way basically they were treating the third shift and how first shift was getting away with everything. And his boss yelled at him, and he had to talk with his girlfriend about it. She told him to quit and just stay at home. She was making enough money for both of them. He's like, okay, he'll stay at home, take care of the cat, cook and clean the house. Basically kind of be like, she said it was only for a little while until he really finds something he likes. But he was cooking and doing all that. She was making enough money for them to survive on and not struggle. I mean, survive. I mean, really survive.
Yeah.
And she had just given him $4,000 on a new car, or not new, a new to him car.
Yeah.
As a down payment. So I mean, everything was going great and all that, and it wasn't any. He's like me. He had no ego about being emasculated or anything like that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't any of that. I mean, like I said, the two of them together. I mean, even when he come see me without her, when he talked about her, he beamed. He beamed and all that, and I'm like,
Wow.
and I talked to him about, you being careful, using protection. I said, I mean, I know y'all talked about, yeah, she's on birth control and stuff like this, because her mother had a talk with her about making an appointment about taking her off birth control. It never ended up happening because of what happened.
Mhm.
but they were talking about making an appointment about taking her off birth control so that possibly having kids in the future. Because, like I said, they were talking long term.
Wow.
I kind of wish my son wasn't so responsible, so I
Right,
could
right,
have a
right, right.
little piece of him around. My mother, who is she's 82, she'll be 83 in December, who always wanted Austin to be the straight and narrow, be responsible. And has even said, I kind of wish my grandson wasn't so responsible and had a kid, so we'd have a little piece of him still around.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. You got any questions, Trae?
Yeah, I just want to know, what are you doing now to cope? You know, like when you have those moments when, like you said, you wish he was still around or a piece of him was still around. You know, how do you handle your emotions, and what are you doing to remember him? I know I probably asked a whole lot in one question, but yeah.
That's okay. No, how I process.
Yeah.
I have written several poems about the grief,
Mhm.
about him, about feeling lost. I actually, I wrote an original song that it's gotten produced. A friend of mine produced it and did the vocals on it. It's on my YouTube page. I'll have to send that to you, Tony.
Okay.
Um, I when I'm in pain,
Mhm.
seems like the only time I can write poetry, and that's been the case for years and years and years. From whether it be pain of actual physical pain, emotional pain over a breakup, whatever, that's always been the case. Also, making videos that you see on my YouTube page. It's the way I process my grief. Uh, is just dealing with it that way. I lost a very dear friend prior to Austin. I was grieving her for 2 years. It was basically a lifelong love, and a girl named Tammy, who was my very first friend in this world. I was 3, she was 5. I loved her all my life. She was basically my soulmate. Should have been the one, and she was the one that got away, but we've known each other all of our lives. And she passed away November 9th, 2020. And I was grieving her every single day up until I got the call of Austin. And I don't think, had I not gone through the grieving process of her so hard and heavy, because she was somebody that grew up at the skating rink. Her family and my family were real close. Her sister still calls me the brother-in-law that should have been. And she, like I said, well, we've known each other. Our families were like this. I don't think if had not gone through the process of grieving her so hard and it was so impactful in my life, that I would have handled Austin as well as I have. I don't even know if I would still be here if it wasn't for dealing with her passing.
Okay.
I honestly don't think I would be. But I made videos about just her passing, her grief, videos of who all I've lost and stuff like that. It's just making videos is how I process, and writing poetry is how I process.
And when you say not be here, are you saying like you would have maybe grieved yourself to death, or what are you thinking?
Or worse, who knows? Yeah,
Wow.
because I've gotten deep in that rabbit hole, and I pulled myself out of that rabbit hole. And I know, I know not. I mean, I know I would not do nothing to myself, because as I showed you earlier, all those prescriptions,
Right.
those would do the trick.
Yeah.
I choose not to, because I know that's not something I would do, because I've gone through so much grief in a short time in my life that I know I can handle it. But I don't think, because Tammy was so impactful, people were worried about me with me grieving Tammy. That's how devastating it was. It was more devastating than my father. It was more devastating than my brother. People were worried about me, and I got through it, or was getting through it. And then I got the call about Austin, and I have not really grieved Tammy at all. And that basically, I want to say, grieving Tammy conditioned me to handle grieving my son as well as I have. I don't think if Tammy never passed away and Austin, my son, passing away happened, I don't know if I'd actually be here. I don't think I would handle it. I may have self-harmed. But I know I won't because of everything I've been through.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said you had to wait 6 months, and you got 2 more classes left. 2 more.
No, all 10 classes are done.
Oh, they're done. So,
yeah, like, Tuesdays ago was my 10th and final class.
Got you. What's the big takeaway you gained from?
Not alone.
Okay.
So many other people are just like me out there. That was one of the things they asked us in that class was, what is your one big takeaway? And we all said, we're not alone. And there was other people, whether it been their child, their husband, their boyfriend, girlfriend, and we're not alone. And it was okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. So do you all have a support group in your area where you all meet up sometime?
They do have like events that they try to get us to go to that's upcoming. These walks, and I haven't got because it just ended, but they told us about these upcoming ones that they would be emailing us about. But I'm also on other support groups like on Facebook and all that I'm constantly interacting with grieving parents. Specific, not specific to just suicide, but grieving parents. And then I am on some that are suicide parents of suicide adults. I forget exactly how it's termed, but
one more question. I want to jump back to you had to wait 6 months. So how was your 6 months like until it was,
I just kept doing my thing that I'd been doing prior to, just day and day. I had some bad days. I sat there, I would sit and, grief hits you like a rogue wave out of nowhere.
Right.
It could be a song. It could be just a picture. Or, oh my God, when commercials for some of the Star Wars series on Disney Plus would come up, I'm like, Austin, you should be here. You should be watching this. You should be picking up the phone and say, Dad, did you see this? Dad, did you see that? And I still have those moments.
Well,
I will sit and cry, but I won't stay in that rabbit hole for long. But it would be the same thing. I would stay longer in that rabbit hole, but I would be able to pull myself out of it. It just wasn't as easy.
Okay.
Music, especially slow. Oh, God. The song Heaven by my phone's on there.
You're fine.
What is a song called Heaven?
Yes. And
is it a gospel or what is that?
Yeah, it's not gospel. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I'm grabbing my tablet. Hold on. Do I have Spotify? Yes, I do.
Is it Phil Wickham?
No, I know it's when I hear it.
Okay. There's another one called with Kane Brown as well. A lot of songs titled Heaven.
Yeah, I know. Quite a few that I'm in my head, but I can't seem to get the right one.
And while you're looking for that, so I looked at the stats for Virginia, and I'm not sure what year it is, but it talks about 1,208 deaths by suicide in Virginia. And
Well,
it might be from last year. It might be last year's stats. I'm not sure. It doesn't have a date, but normally these stats are probably like within the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
well, and see how it breaks down by age group. See on that video I have on my website,
Mhm.
on
On the
my
TikTok,
YouTube page, on my YouTube
okay.
page, it breaks it down. By age group.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely share some links to that stuff.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Go for it.
What would you, for parents out there that do have kids? Because here's the thing. What I'm seeing more and more of is that kids are being bullied in school,
Oh,
Yeah.
or they're being bullied at home. And all of a sudden
Mhm.
you read these suicide stories because they're being picked on. They feel
Right.
like they feel like nobody likes them, they're a loner,
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
like that. And it's like, what would you tell parents to maybe
they have
help?
to have the talk.
Yeah.
They have to have the talk with them.
Mhm.
You know, if they see a change in their child's behavior from the norm, have the talk with them. Don't wait for your child to come to you. And if you ask them if they're okay, and they say everything's fine, no, everything's not fine.
Right.
If you notice a difference
Mhm.
or a change, you make them talk to you.
Yeah.
I know that's easier said than done, kids,
Right.
but you have to have that talk because you
Mhm.
don't want, God forbid, your child to be the next one that shoots up the school,
Yeah.
or if they're told that they've heard their child, or if your child has heard another child being picked on or something, go to the school and talk to them about it. That's one thing I can say that I was proud about Austin because I started in on him on an early age. You speak for those that cannot speak for themselves. You stand up
Mhm.
for those that cannot stand up for themselves.
Mhm.
And he did. And he at his funeral, over 300 people showed up. And I guarantee you there was, I'd say over 90% of them were under the age of 30. And every person that came out and talked to me said how he talked them down or out of a bad spot, stood up for them at some point or another, or was just there for them. He
Wow.
had gaming friends that he had never met in real life that he had gamed with for 15 years, came all the way down from New York because of a mutual friend that was here locally that they all gamed together. They played together on Xbox for 15 years. The local friend told them about what happened. And they told me how lots of times they just stayed up together on the headsets and talked, and how that as they got older and life was getting harder, and he talked to them, sit there, listen to them, listen, hey, things were going to be better, just was the friend that always listened to him. Came
Yeah.
all the way down the night before from New York and never met him in real life, but wanted to be there to pay their respects from New York.
Yeah. That makes you, I mean, like, and it sucks because he's not here, but
Yeah.
to
It
hear
made me
that
proud.
right.
Yes.
Right.
And I heard stories like that all night long. I mean, I know it sucks for what it was, but it made me so proud of him to hear those stories repeated over and over and over and over again. I was so proud of him for the
Yeah.
person that he was, because he was always there for his friends, always was the person that they could count on for support, and that he would be there in their darkest moments and pull them back into the light.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, and maybe you don't now, but in the beginning, were you questioning like the why of it? Like, why would he do this? Like, what was it really bothering you to like figure out why?
I still can't figure out why. I question that now. Still, why? Why? Why didn't you just, of all the friends that you've helped, why didn't you reach out? Why didn't you reach out to me? Because he could tell me anything. That was one of the things we had. We had an open line of communication. And I told you, as long as you never lied to me, I will always back you. Even when you do something wrong, we'll handle it, but I will back you. He did things I didn't like. I mean, he told me he experimented with, okay, didn't stick with it, but he tried it. He was upfront with me. He tried, now obviously he smoked pot. He did do that. Those other things he tried. He tried other drugs, and he was upfront and told me that. So why not tell me this? Why if you were feeling this way, why not tell me this? If you could tell me all those other things, come and tell me, I know about this stuff. He knew I suffered from it, or I dealt with it, I deal with it. Just tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just didn't feel like he couldn't, or any of his numerous friends.
Right. Yeah. Guess it's the toughest part because normally, like, sometimes when it happens, like, for example, I'm going to use Chris Benoit.
Oh.
Right. You remember that. But that was more of a steroid.
Yes.
Wrestling and bumping your head.
PTE.
Right. Like, but he didn't have anything like that. He wasn't doing anything like, skating or any kind of intensive. Right?
No. No.
Yeah, right. So
no, I mean, he was perfectly healthy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I think, something. And yeah, I mean, his toxicology came back fine. So all that was. Because trust me, I had to go through all that crap and all that.
Yeah. He was having for whatever reason, he got down and he just let it get to him, and that just it's kind of mind boggling because he had everything going for him.
He had so much going for him.
Yeah.
It just I don't know. I wish I did.
Yeah. You find that song yet, or you still?
I am still looking. DA. Oh my God! Because apparently it's not. I think it's Daniel something.
Oh, okay. Any other questions for Scotty, Trae?
No.
No roller skating questions? Oh my goodness.
Oh look, I didn't know we were gonna get on that topic because I love the roller skate.
Here all night, man. Roller skate was life. Skating is life.
Yes, I love it. But no.
My goal is to at least get my skates back on. I'll never be what I once. I won't even be a fraction of what I once was. My goal is to one day get my skates, because I still have my skates. I'll never like a wrestler. I'll never get rid of those skates. But my plan to get my skates back on, get on my skates, at least go 1 to 2 more laps.
Okay.
Try.
That'll be your retirement tour.
Yeah. 1 lap, 2 laps.
Anything you want to say on your behalf before we let you go?
No, man, just hey, thanks for having me. And for those listening, hey, please subscribe to my podcast. I have no idea how many listeners I have. I just have a blast. Whoops, I keep hitting that mic. I love playing the music. If you like 70s, 80s, and 90s old school R&B from Sugar Hill Gang to the New Jack Swing era, then you're going to love the podcast. It's located at tuthpodcast.com. And you can find it on Spotify if you search Turning Up the Heat podcast. Be nice if you subscribe. If you don't, hey, so.
Yeah, that's it. Check it out. Check it out. Some good stuff. You're definitely good at creating content. Keep up the good work on the content. I
Appreciate
love.
that. Coming from you, that means a lot. Knowing
I,
what you do. Hey,
I,
I'm just a ham and egger.
I'm a glorified amateur myself, but no, I've been doing it for a while. But definitely appreciate you, bro. And if we
Yeah,
can
thank you.
help you out, if you
Oh,
need to come
thanks,
on
man.
your podcast and give you a little bit of vocals along with the music, we're willing to come on there and cut it up a little bit as well.
There we go. We'll do it.
Yeah. So check out Turning Up the Heat with the Heatmiser. This
Turning
is
up the heat.
Scotty Blaze.
I like
Like,
that.
subscribe, and comment. This is the Carver Ave Chronicles podcast with Tone and Trae. We're out. Peace. Thanks again for listening to the Carver Ave Chronicles podcast with Tone and Trae. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Definitely subscribe wherever you get your podcast for future episodes.